Welcome, one and all, to the very new Lepodcast episode 1. I am Hoop here with Sainey and the infamous ZZ Huncho. The other day, I was at my grandma's house and she got McDonald's, got a chicken sandwich. I'm a chicken kind of guy, and it wasn't that good.
Right.
And I feel like McDonald's is like such a big chain where they should be up to the standard of having good chicken sandwiches. Maybe it's because Chick-fil-A is just that much better along with Popeyes. I'd love to hear your takes. I don't know if you're chicken guys, but when it comes to chicken sandwiches, what's the best and what's the worst? Because McDonald's it wasn't impressive. It wasn't impressing me.
All right. Well, I think in Canada it's a little different because we have these sandwiches called junior chickens at McDonald's, and they are like heaven. Like they're like the best. It's like $1. Actually, they got a little more expensive because Biden and whatnot. But junior chickens are like beautiful. Like I've never heard of a bad chicken sandwich from McDonald's. But in terms of the best chicken sandwich, it's got to be Popeyes. I mean, is there really a debate here? Are we really going to argue this?
I think there's a debate for Chick-fil-A. Z, I'd love to hear your take. You're from
Yeah,
down south. You got more options.
there's definitely a debate with Chick-fil-A, but I don't know. Honestly, I put Chick-fil-A and Popeyes in the same tier
Right.
of chicken sandwiches. They're the Michael Jordan and the LeBron Jameses. They just sit there. KFC is like probably Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like it's been here for a while.
I think KFC is
gross.
the bottom tier
It's the
of
bottom tier.
chicken places.
the
100%.
Nah, man.
Like
nah,
if
man.
McDonald's was around, would you ever go there for a chicken sandwich? If you're going to McDonald's,
Yes.
I don't know.
Would I ever go to McDonald's for a chicken sandwich?
For a chicken sandwich,
In a town where
like knowing, like in a town that has other places, would you purposely go to McDonald's for a chicken sandwich?
No, man, no.
It depends on the situation, man, because the chicken sandwiches here are really cheap at McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm just trying to get, like, a little, spoil myself, not really care about what I'm eating, then I'm going to go to McDonald's. But if I'm trying to treat myself, again, I haven't had Chick-fil-A, by the way. So, like, in Canada, we only have Popeyes.
Oof.
We only have Popeyes. I know. They need to bring it. I don't know what they're doing. But
Yes.
junior chickens are elite for me. I feel bad that you guys have never had a junior chicken.
I might
mean-
have to drive up to Canada to get one.
You could.
Yeah,
I'll take you.
Well, moving forward in the podcast, since it's our first episode, I'm going to show you guys or tell you guys the layout. We have segments that are pre-made. A lot of them are going to be reappearing in every episode. One that's going to appear in every episode is LeHeadlines, where since we're called Lepodcast, we're going to pay tribute to the one and only for some homage. I don't know if I'm going to call him the GOAT. I mean, I have him personally there, but I'm equivalent. I can see the argument. But for today's lineup, we have LeHeadlines followed by Chet or Regret, centered around Chet Holmgren.
Right.
LeRankings, which is just ranking players, but we wanted to, give it a spicy title.
It's called Lepodcast.
Name That Plumber, which is an extremely disrespectful title, basically to guess old basketball players, along with Wardrobe Remix, which we'll have as a surprise at the end. But moving forward into the headline of the week, it's been rumored that Kyrie Irving might reunite with LeBron James, as the Brooklyn Nets have not offered Kyrie a long-term deal, even though the dude's like 30 in the middle of his prime, once-in-a-lifetime talent. I think they'd be stupid to not give him the money, considering the big three that they brought in. They've gotten nothing out of it. Even if they go into debt, I think they should pay him. But this opens up a possibility of the Lakers having a core of Kyrie, LeBron, and AD. I don't think it'll happen, but you never know. I want to ask you guys the question. It's more of a hypothetical. But if you're LeBron, would you rather play with current Kyrie Irving or current Anthony Davis, and why? Z, we'll start with you.
I think if I was LeBron James and I'd choose between those two, it's tough because with one, he's injury prone, and the other is unpredictable in terms of if he's going to show up to work. I said it before, Kyrie Irving is like the Antonio Brown of the NBA. He's our Antonio Brown, just not as bad. Like, not as completely loose cannon mindset. He just sometimes values other stuff over the game itself. But I think with LeBron, his best teamwork between the duos, he's got 2 championships with each, right? Kyrie helped him come back 3-1. AD helped him close out Jimmy G buckets. And that was a fantastic finals, by the way. I just think, honestly, LeBron...
He's only got one finals with AD.
Right? But he's got 1 ring with Kyrie, 1 ring with AD.
I thought you
Kyrie's
said
been
two
there
with
3
each. I'm
straight
sorry.
times. But I'm saying, like, it's tough because you have to look at both of them. I think that AD and LeBron were a great pairing. I thought that LeBron was someone that Anthony Davis was missing, but Kyrie's always had that dog. Kyrie's always had that dog in him from day one since he stepped into the league. So I would say LeBron and Kyrie. Personally, I like that duo more, and I just think that with championship experience, all these factors, he might want to trust Kyrie more than AD. That's my take.
Sainey, what do you think?
Well, here's my 2 cents on the argument. We got to look at it as not like just LeBron and LeBron and AD and LeBron and Kyrie. We got to look at the situation they're going to be put in, right? And the situation we're talking about is the Lakers. One thing they need right now is defense. They're a huge liability on defense. LeBron's only going to get older. I don't see how bringing in Kyrie, and they're going to replace Kyrie with Westbrook, right? Like, we're just assuming that. It's not going to be Kyrie, Westbrook, and LeBron. We're just talking about like the duos, right? There's no way Kyrie goes to the Lakers if Westbrook's still there, right?
Right.
I don't see how bringing in Kyrie, who again is unpredictable. I would be willing to bet my life that he's not going to play all 82 games. Just like Anthony Davis, which is correct. But at the same time, looking at two of them, I think if we're talking about the Lakers and where LeBron's at right now in his career, because again, like LeBron and Kyrie did what they did because LeBron was at like the peak. I guess you could argue 2018 was his peak, but he was a beast in the 2010s, right? Obviously, he slowed down a little. He's still averaging 30, but I mean, look at that Lakers roster. Almost any superstar would have averaged 30 if they were the number one option on that team.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather AD right now if I was LeBron, just because, he has that size. When he's healthy, we all know AD's the top 10 player in the league when he's healthy, right? Can you say the same about Kyrie Irving? There's an argument for him to be in the bottom 10, I guess, but I don't know. I would rather Anthony Davis, honestly.
The bottom part of the top 10.
The bottom part of the top 10, yeah.
Bottom 10 players in the league.
No, the bottom part of the top 10 if he's healthy and playing all the time. Like, that's still an if to me, but with Anthony Davis, I know he's a top 10 player if he's healthy and he's playing, right? And this is a huge again, with both of them, it's like you have to create the most hypothetical situations because at the end of the day, 99% chance none of it's going to happen because when was the last time we've seen either of them play a full season?
This is what makes podcasting fun.
Yeah, but like when was the last time you've seen either of them play a full season, right? So it's really hard to judge, but if I were to take my bets, I would take them on AD playing with LeBron. Like if
I would 1,000% take AD. I think he has the higher upside when he's healthy, plus the defense factor. Even though he doesn't seem as youthful as he is, if he's healthy, he could still move around a little bit. Yeah. So that kind of interior.
Here's my thing with that, Hoop. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want you to take this into consideration because I didn't take into consideration at first when trying to assess Anthony Davis. But when he is healthy, he has stretches where either he plays like that old New Orleans Pelican 2015 big man AD, or he plays like he wants to be Kevin Durant, taking step back mid ranges.
The new coaching is what would
you really think
my mind on that. I think Frank Vogel is not an intimidating guy.
No,
and I think if they buy in with a new coach, Anthony Davis is gonna have to play like a big man.
I love D-Han. Right. I love that move for the Lakers.
All right, let's move on.
All right, the next segment, we're heading on to Chet or regret, correct?
Yeah,
that is correct.
All right, so basically, we all know the draft. At the time of this recording, it's 2 days away. By the time you see this, it'll probably be tomorrow. Like, the draft will be tomorrow, at least. And biggest name in the draft, he might not be the number one pick, but we all know the most popular name right now, Chet Holmgren, right?
Chet Holmgren.
Holmgren. I know I said that
wrong.
I'll
blame it on the Canadian accent.
Yeah, I'm Canadian. Please excuse my accent. But anyway, we've been seeing Chet since what? He was in like the 8th grade when he was at that Steph Curry camp, right?
And he diced him up.
That behind the back and the dunk. He's always had hype around him throughout high school. He's always kept his name up there. Instagram definitely plays a big factor in that. And it probably plays a big factor in why the whole world, or at least most of the world, thinks the man's going to be a bust. And that leads us into this segment, Chet or regret. If you are an NBA GM or you're drafting Chet, basically, like, is he a bust or not? Like how do you see Chet? Like what is your opinion on Chet? I know I talked to Hoop about this a little, but Z, we'll start with you. Chet, bust or NBA superstar. I don't think there's an in between them. I don't think he's going to be an average player. I think he's either the super high ceiling or the super low, the floor.
The thing is that with Chet, like I've watched his game, and especially throughout March Madness, and I just think I want to say that we've seen this before, right? Where we have a guy that comes in and the hype is all around him, but at the same time, the questions are about like something like his strength and his size and how he'll hold up. A lot of people like to point to KD when they are talking about that, but they're two different players. He's a 7-footer. I immediately, for some reason, think back to Kristaps Porzingis when he got drafted to the Knicks, and they all hated it, but he didn't become a bust. He became pretty good, but not superstar level. But he still had a pretty good career. With Chet, Chet's kind of slow. I will say he looks a little slow, but he also looks like he understands how to utilize his 7-foot frame. He can shoot, obviously. So there's a whole lot of concerns for me. And I honestly think that at best, or at least at worst, I'll say at worst he could be, and it's all depending on where he's drafted, but at worst he could be in between, like where Kristaps is, maybe even a level below.
But
like, I think it all boils down to the fact that like he could end up in a situation where he's in a wasteland, like or the Orlando Magic with Mo Bamba and what they've done with number one guys over the years. Even guys like it's just all about if he's in a wasteland, you know, he could put up empty stats, right? And they won't contribute to wins. They could build something, whatever. But for him, he has a lot weighing on him. I feel like he's got to definitely be a little bit more jacked or toned going into the season, at least, for me not to look at him and say that those guys are going to go out there and just destroy him. So I think he might be in that fine line.
Going back to your point on Kristaps, I think Kristaps was at that superstar level until he injured himself. It was an ACL tear. Hoop, you're a Knicks fan. It was an ACL tear, correct? I can't remember the exact injury.
Yes.
I think that injury is what set Kristaps back a bit. And while I do see a lot of people comparing him and Kristaps, I don't really like the comparison just because Chet is like he's a 7-footer who's under 200 pounds. That's already a big red flag for me. And like you said, he's a 7-footer, but he's like he has like the movement of a guard. You know what I mean? Like he moves the ball around a lot, and he plays different than a traditional big man would, right? My issue with that is, and if he was a traditional big man, this wouldn't be an issue to me. But his assist to turnover ratio is 1-to-1, right? So if that's your play style, but you're out here putting up numbers like where your assist to turnover ratio is bad, you're a little slow. I mean, he has great defensive IQ, but this is against college guys. The NBA is a whole different league.
Yeah.
You're going to deal with a whole different set of bodies. Like, he's going to get humbled real quick because he's coming in. I do like the confidence. I know a lot of people are hating on him for being cocky, but I don't see why anybody in the world, any athlete, would go into an interview and say they're not the best when they're asked, right? But I do think he's taking it a step too far when he's like, the top 5 players in the NBA, and he's like naming himself already. He's going to get humbled a little, which happens with top picks. I don't like his frame, his body type, being 7 foot and under 200 pounds. If he's gonna be good, he won't be good right away. Like that's my take on it because of his size. And again, like you said, it depends on what team he gets drafted to. If he gets drafted to Oklahoma, I'm a big Oklahoma fan. That would be blessed for his career because Oklahoma's great at developing players. Sam Presti has a good idea on how to make guys like great example was Darius Baisley. Remember when he came in the league? Nobody knew about him. He was a skinny, tall guy that played like Kevin Durant, but he was nowhere near that level, right? Over the years, he's starting to get way better and better. He's starting to average like high double digits. I think he's going to be a great breakout player very soon because he's putting in that work. Oklahoma, again, their player development is insane.
So you would want Chet on your team?
Anybody who gets drafted to Oklahoma is going to be good. That's my opinion on it because they're a great team to get drafted to. Like they've proven that over time and time and time and time again in the 2010s with Sam Presti as their GM. So I guess it depends on where he gets drafted, but I think he's good. I think he has more of a chance to be a bust.
Okay.
I think Chet is not worth the number 1 pick, but he is totally worth the number 2. And I think the best situation is Oklahoma City. The biggest problem for Chet is going to be facing guys with more speed and athleticism and strength. That's the biggest leap from college to the pros. Anyone will say that. He already has all the skills.
Right.
But the problem is, I think in order for him to have a successful career, he needs to focus in on a certain skill set. Particularly as a big man, he needs to put on weight and become a better shot blocker. Obviously, he already has the IQ, but I'm talking about being able to hold his own down there instead of getting pinned by Marcus Smart, which I think can actually happen.
Right.
Obviously, he's going to get the blocks by hanging over people, but he needs to put on weight to be able to bang around for 82 games. I think that... Pause.
My bad.
I think that him being able to dribble and push the ball is a great... Okay, I see how it is.
Continue. No,
I think it's a great skill to have, but it's not as important as being a shot blocking big.
Right.
I think he's going to be an incredible pick and roll lob threat because he was a Gonzaga, but Gonzaga is already in a weaker basketball conference.
Right.
Everyone knows that when Gonzaga makes the tournament, a lot of times they're fraudulent. And while he puts up numbers over there, it's going to be different in the NBA.
100%.
So I think there is that bust potential for him. But with that being said, I think there is boom potential. I don't think he would ever be an MVP candidate because I don't think that's what his game is. But he could 100% be an all-star. I don't think he would be an all-NBA level player, but totally a guy who can make a couple all-star teams. I don't understand where people are coming from that he'd be like a 25 point per game scorer. I just don't see it because I see the comparisons to Kevin Durant everywhere, but he's just not as fast. The whole reason KD is KD is because he can move like a guard. Chet cannot. He can shoot a little bit. Expanding to the NBA range would be interesting.
Right.
But I think Evan Mobley is a decent comparison. I would not expect Chet. I've heard a lot of people saying he won't be in the league. I think he'll be in the league as long as he's healthy. But I wouldn't expect him to be this all-time great like people are saying. I think he's a new talent, but I don't think that talent pushes him over the top like people are saying.
I feel like whenever you see a 7-footer shoot, like a 7-footer that could shoot, they're just instantly drawn to a Kevin Durant comparison. And I never understood.
That's really all that we've seen.
Yeah, but
So-
That's the only. KD's the only like definition of a 7-footer like with guard like skills who plays like a guard, but like his speed, like what Hoop was saying, his speed and the way he actually plays and how fast he plays for someone his height. There's no one that can really compare to him. We've seen people that are close, but they're always like a step slower, step or two slower, like not as strong, not as better handles, like stuff like that. So like,
Kevon Looney had expectations to be like a Dollar Tree Kevin Durant when he was
Lord.
coming out the draft, and look what he turned into. There's just too
Rim
many
and Golden
variations. I mean, you got a guy like MPJ who's more of a spot up,
right.
who's slower. I mean, you got the guys who get more muscle. I think Chet should be the guy who gets more muscle because it's more important in his position because there's no way he'd play a small forward position.
Right.
So I think he should put on some weight. Anyways, moving into our third segment, LeRankings. Today on LeRankings, we're ranking the top 10 players for the 2023 NBA season. I'm very excited for this. We're just going to go back to front, 10 to 1. We'll go Z, Sainey, and then myself. We can
I gotta go
interject because it's, I don't know,
on.
I don't know. But if you have something to say, you could totally,
Yeah.
We'll
get
give
it
a,
out.
we'll give a little pause after every name.
There's no explanation for a player. You just got to say it. You can
Exactly.
defend yourself afterwards.
Right.
All right, bet.
Start off with your number 10, Z, and let's get right into
Start
it.
us off good.
All right. I will say this could be subject to change depending on our conversation.
Let's save the explanation for later. Just spit it out.
Whatever. Number 10, Kawhi Leonard. Number 9.
Whoa. Only to your 10. Only to your 10.
Rules, bro.
What?
You got to say your 10. Then
And then
Sainey
10,
says his 10.
then
Then I say my 10.
Oh, okay, fine. My bad. Well,
Your
y'all know my
luck, this is
number.
the first podcast.
I didn't hear the number 9.
Ooh.
I didn't hear the number 9.
Me neither.
All right, perfection. Number
Say
10,
it again.
Kawhi Leonard.
Say it again.
Kawhi.
Why?
Okay.
Say it again for the clip. Introduce it.
Why?
No,
Kawhi
be-
Leonard.
No. Be like, at number 10, I have Kawhi Leonard. So it's
At
better for
number
the TikTok clip.
We restarted the segment.
Okay. At number 10, I have Kawhi Leonard.
Okay. At number 10, I have John Morant.
Paul George.
Number 9, I have Anthony Davis.
At number 9, I have Jason Tatum.
At number 9, I have Anthony Davis.
All right, cool. At number 8, I have John Morant.
At number 8, I have Jimmy Butler.
At number 8, I have Kawhi Leonard.
Okay. Number 7, I have Jimmy Butler.
You guys are gonna crucify me. At number 7, I have LeBron James.
At number 7, I have Steph Curry.
What? What?
I don't think that's crazy.
What?
Why?
I'm gonna save the argument for the end. We'll just say off the top 10.
Okay.
Just say it the top 10. 7? Okay.
Number 6, I have LeBron James.
Okay. At number 6, I have Luka Doncic.
Oh, heck no. At number 6, I have Kevin Durant. See?
At number 5, I have Luka Doncic.
Y'all are...
At number
Oh,
number
Lord.
5, I have Joel Embiid.
At number 5, I have Joel Embiid.
Okay. Z.
Number 4 is mine, right?
Yep.
Number 4, I have Kevin Durant.
At number 4, I have Nikola Jokic.
At number 4, I have LeBron James.
At number 3, I have Nikola Jokic.
At number 3, I have Kevin Durant.
At number 3, I have Nikola Jokic.
At number 2, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo.
At number 2, I have Steph Curry. Hey, he
2, I got Luka.
2. Okay.
Number 1 is Wardell Stephen Curry.
There's no way. All right.
Okay. At number 1, I have Giannis.
I have Giannis at 1 as well.
Okay, let's go back to I think the biggest one.
Can we go back?
This,
I messed up
this is
on-
not a greatest player ranking list.
Right. It's the best players
This
in
is
the league.
this is also not a skill ranking list.
Right, it's
Being the best shooter of all time.
No, it's
looking
That ain't
at
got nothing to-
Steph Curry's
that ain't got nothing to
game
do with it.
during
That ain't got nothing to do with
the regular season counts too. Because if you look at his finals performance, I think my players above Steph Curry can have that kind of performance in the finals. KD, Embiid, LeBron, Jokic, Luka, Giannis.
Right, they
I think
could.
they can all have that kind of staple performance.
Right.
During the regular season, there were stretches where people looked at Steph Curry as having one of the worst shooting years of his career, if not the worst.
Yeah, but that was
And
like,
he's had stretches where he's disappeared. Maybe after his great finals performance, he didn't have such a great game. I think if you plug any of those guys' teams above Steph on my list in the finals, they can be consistent. And being on ball obviously helps. I know Steph is such a unique player. But I think being the best, I have Giannis at number 1 for his two-way ability. I think Luka is the best pure offensive player in the game, his on-ball playmaking. I think he's more consistent than Steph Curry in that aspect. I think, especially with help this year, I think he's going to be unstoppable. And if he comes into the season in shape, I think he's going to be more unstoppable. Jokic, great offensive player, keeps improving on defense. I think he comes in even better shape. 2-time MVP, I can't ignore that. LeBron, I don't think it's possible to say he's better than Steph next year. With some more help and a new coach, Joel Embiid's going to be dominant if he's healthy. And Kevin Durant, I don't think that's crazy to have Steph at 7.
Okay.
Now I do understand your points. I'll give you I'll take back my like reaction, but I won't change my opinion on having Steph at 2 because I will say this: a lot of your points, like your main point, stems from if you were to plug in that player in the finals, they would have the same or even better performance. Correct? That's an if, and they didn't. Steph Curry went to the finals, and he did do that. Steph Curry did that the whole playoff run. He did go and win. Okay, you could argue the teams like Luka's team isn't as good, or Jokic's team or Embiid's team, whatever. Steph Curry went and he proved he could do that in the finals. He took away that what's the word I'm looking for?
Stigma, pain, narrative.
Like that narrative that he's not a great finals player because he's never won a finals MVP. He came into this with arguably the best defensive team in the league, and he tore them to shreds. He had one bad game, and they won that one bad game anyways, so whatever. I don't know. I still have Curry at 2 just because the awards he's racked up this season. He proved at 34. He seemed to have removed any narrative that was against him, against his legacy. This season, is the season that put him in that discussion of, is he a top 10 player of all time? You know what I mean? And I can't ignore that. You can't ignore that with Steph.
I agree he's cemented his place into history, but a big reason why I have Paul George at 10 instead of someone like Trae Young, and Trae Young brings more value to his team in winning, is I think Paul George is the more complete basketball player. And I'll value someone who is almost just as good as defense than an offense instead of Trae Young, who plays no defense. And I think Steph Curry being on the Warriors, obviously he helped create the Warriors and he's a huge part. But I think Steve Kerr doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think Draymond Green and the whole way that the team is built helps him out a lot. I think Giannis was a step away from being in the finals if he had Chris Middleton. Luka's a player away. Jokic is Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray away from contending with the Warriors. They already stole a game or two from them. I can just, with the players I have above him, I don't see a situation where I just feel like Steph Curry's in a better situation than all those guys. And Steph doesn't have the defense.
See, here's my thing, and I've sat back and I've been quiet about this, but Steph Curry has, if you haven't Steph Curry at 7, has got to be the most disrespectful thing I've heard all day. Because, and the reason is, Steph Curry, like Sainey said, this whole season has just been out there breaking records, winning awards, adding to his legacy.
He's had a down year, though. He's had a down year.
Right? When he gets hurt against Boston, comes back to the playoffs off the bench and drops 30 first game. Off the bench. Then works his way back into the starting lineup, is literally putting Jokic to sleep. Then he's got to go up against Memphis, and Memphis' defense is crazy too. Destroys that, dissects that. Against the Mavericks, you said Luka's a better offensive option or more complete offensive option. I don't think so, because if the game is on the line and I need some late free throws, I know damn well I'm not putting Luka at
free throws.
I know damn well I'm not
you want Luka there. On ball for the clock ticking down. You cannot tell me you'd rather have Steph Curry than Luka Doncic.
Well, because
going into next year, that's another year under his belt.
I gotta go with Hoop on that one. I gotta side with Hoop on that one.
Hey, I'm not mad at you for having Luka. I'm just saying I'm looking at the way that the way that Steph can be in a half court or full court setting. No time. He don't need a timeout. Steph doesn't need a timeout to draw the defense out to him, to get a screen and pop off the screen, to get his other teammates open. He draws so much attention, like JJ Redick said. He's literally the sun. The gravitational pull of simply just having that light-skinned mofo on the court is all I need in a late game situation. And I know his championship level IQ and all-time IQ, he's going to go out there and make the right play. Doesn't mean he has to take the last shot, but I'd rather just have him right there just because he is who he is. Now, from moving away from that, I also want to point this out. At number 7, I did not mean to say Jimmy Butler. I meant to say Joel Embiid. I apologize, Joel. I'll take Joel at 7.
So but Jimmy's in my not in your top 10 at all.
I don't like Jimmy being in the top 10. He's too inconsistent. He only shows up when it matters. And sometimes he doesn't, like, he picks his spots, and Jimmy does not get media attention when he doesn't play well. He only gets it when he plays well.
He had 2 bad games. I looked into it because when I was doing my top 10, he had 2 bad games this playoffs, and it was back-to-back.
Was he an all-star this year? Was he an all-star this year?
Sure.
But I'm talking about top 10 players. I care more about the playoffs than the regular season.
That are going to play regardless of what the game means.
I know, but I care. Like, if you play like a top 10 player in the playoffs, you're a top 10 player to me. Consistently throughout each round, Jimmy Butler was that guy. He is the only reason that Miami made it anywhere. Okay, that Miami team, Lowry disappeared. Bam Adebayo had stretches where he thought he was a guard chucking up floaters for no reason. Okay, Jimmy Butler, he topped LeBron James' Game 6 performance against Boston this year. In that game, like Jimmy Butler to me, he has that killer mentality. He's a guy that if I'm building a team, I want to win. I want to win on this team, and Jimmy Butler is available. I am 110% taking Jimmy Butler. Because I think that Jimmy Butler can fit in many situations because he doesn't have that ego where he's like, I want to be the main guy. I want to rack up the empty stats. No, his stats, decent in the regular season. You are correct. But when it comes to playoff time, if we're going to talk about Tatum, we got to talk about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler destroyed Tatum in every single statistical category while having 75 less turnovers than Jason Tatum this playoff series. Yes, you can argue that Jason played an extra series than him, but an extra 6 games doesn't amount to the fact that he had an extra 75 turnovers, didn't average as many points, didn't average as many rebounds. To me,
if Jimmy had any sort of if Jimmy had any sort of outside game, I'd probably have him in the lower part of my top 10, probably taking out Paul George.
Right.
But as of now, he's with Trey and Jason Tatum and John Morant right outside.
Honestly, I could make a case. I could be fine with removing or swapping him out for AD simply because of the fact that Jimmy's just always available and is literally probably maybe the best leader in the entire NBA.
Right.
I think that the fact that Jimmy Butler got the Miami Heat to the number 1 seed like that, granted Boston went on a run after the All-Star break, but Jimmy literally went in 2020 and carried those motherfuckers to the finals. Then the next year, they have a down year, which honestly, looking back on it, them and the Lakers, ironically, both early exits, I mean, barely any time. But then the very next year, he leads them back to the number 1 seed. And then Lowry did get hurt at the same time, but he also could have made a lot of smarter decisions in the closeout game. But whatever. Jimmy was still that guy and still gave it his all. So I think that's top 10 worthy. I think that with Anthony Davis, I just hate that we have to take out Jimmy because we think, oh, well, AD, if he's healthy, that's the only reason why we're in here.
See, that's
even
why
though Jimmy did his thing.
That's why
So,
I didn't
one
include
thing
Anthony Davis or Kawhi. Like, I know you guys added them to your list, and I respect it in terms of, like, yeah, you know what? When they're healthy, they are good. When? I don't know how. Kawhi's getting old, and he's coming off an ACL injury. I have no idea how he's going to be when he comes back. He's already taken a step back defensively when he was playing. On the Clippers, you cannot argue to me that he was the same. He's at that same defensive level as he was beforehand on the Spurs and the Raptors. I've already seen Kawhi take a step back defensively. Now that he's coming off an ACL tear, I'm not going to put him into my top 10 just because I don't know how he's going to play. The man hasn't played basketball in over a year. Same with Anthony Davis. He's too inconsistent. I can't put somebody in the top 10 if they're not going to play half the season.
Right. That's fair.
Jimmy
The
Butler,
one thing,
oh, sorry, Hoop. One more quick point. Jimmy Butler for the past 3 seasons he's been on the Heat has played. I'm not going to say he's played every game of the season. I'm sure he's missed some games. But the fact that he's put his body on the line that many times consecutively, especially throughout the playoffs, playing heavy minutes, the guy barely rests, and he's still healthy, still a guy that I can rely on, is the reason, like, his consistency in the playoffs is why I have to put him in the top 10.
You know what, Sainey? You just inspired me. Jimmy Butler has officially cracked my top 10. I don't care if it doesn't make the TikTok because I'll just make a clip and just post it myself. Jimmy Butler's officially in my top 10 because of that soliloquy, because of Sainey's soliloquy. That's what we're going to start trademark it. Sainey's soliloquy. Trademark it.
I can tell that Z is very reactionary because the fact that this is a 2023 list going into next year and you have Steph Curry above Giannis Antetokounmpo speaks volumes. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there.
At the start of last season, I said it too. I said at the start of last season, you can go back and you can quote me on it. I was on recency bias. I was on player's choice and my personal. I said the top 2 players in the world going into last season were Steph and KD. Now, they ended up still being top 5 players. But, I mean, the fact that the criteria kind of changed on, especially in the landscape of the NBA fans, because honestly, Jokic being number 1 for me over guys like Giannis, who, like you said, is a two-way player, that had me thinking, well, if you're just going to throw Jokic up there because, oh, Jamal Murray's not there, he's going to, and they're going to be the 6th seed and get bounced out again, and y'all knew that, but because he has it all, oh my God, he's by himself, no. Okay, so with Steph, y'all said he couldn't do this, y'all said he couldn't do that, he's at a down year, yada, yada, yada. Like Sainey said, Steph Curry was the most accomplished player the entire season. I'm talking even more than Nikola Jokic's MVP, which is sitting at his house, and Steph's got a Finals MVP, an All-Star MVP, and a championship at his. I'm taking Steph number 1.
All I want to say, I understand it, and the last thing I'll say is Steph Curry had to run through those sorry Nuggets, and the Grizzlies, who with John Morant are considered a worse basketball team. All I'm saying is the run was not. I've already done enough Steph disrespect. So
hey, it's not his fault that the Suns blew a 2-0 lead on the Mavericks.
I'll leave it there. Yeah. I'll leave it there. So our next segment, I'm very excited for. It's called Name That Plumber. Very disrespectful. It's nice that these are going on TikTok because I don't think anyone's going to see those. That would be super uptight about it because it's more people our age who agree that they are plumbers. So for the segment, I'm going to list off information of a player whose peak year was before 1980. Z and Sainey will have 30 seconds to guess the player and they can't ask any questions. I'm going to start off by setting the timer.
No using your phone. Put it somewhere.
Yeah, I just have the timer here, and I'm going to name off information while the timer's running. So I'll say it kind of quick, but you just got to sit, listen, and think. If one of you gets it before the 30 seconds is up, maybe I'll give you like a point, and by episode 100, we'll see how many points we got.
And
Some like that.
And we'll give out a prize.
And you just say the name. And I'm gonna try to not listen to you, so I could just keep spitting out the questions. All right, ready, set, go. This player is a 4-time All-Star. 2 selections were with the Baltimore Bullets and 2 with the New York Knicks. He's a 6'3" combo guard who's on the 75th anniversary team. He has 1 championship with the Knicks in 1973.
Walt Frazier.
His initials are EM.
Wait, he's not a plumber. EM?
Yes. One of his nicknames on Basketball Reference is Black Jesus. Another one, Thomas Edison.
Earl Monroe?
Yes.
Oh!
You got it at 29 seconds.
I swear to God,
That's insane.
on my mother's life, I did not know Earl Monroe existed. I just thought EM and I said Earl Monroe. On my mother's life, I did not know that man existed.
Wow.
I did not know Earl Monroe was a real person. I thought I was about to get flamed. We are
You
not.
said
Earl the
before
Pearl.
1980, and then Sainey was like before 1980. What's the guy's name with it? Earl? Yeah, that sounds like a before.
Earl, I literally was like, what are some 80s names that I could say? And I thought Earl.
Earl the Pearl.
All right. Well, moving
I've had to have heard that name before. There's a way I just guessed Earl Monroe. It was in my head, but I have no idea what he looks like. I have no idea about his career. I'm sure he's had an accomplished career.
You've heard of it before.
75.
You've heard it before.
I've definitely heard it, but I don't know who he is personally.
Yeah. All right. Segment 5, the closing segment, wardrobe remix. I didn't say what this was before, but basically, draft's coming up on Thursday. Very excited. I hope the Knicks trade up for Jaden Ivey. I'd love that. But there's a lot of suits in the draft that are questionable, to say the least. I know a lot about that as a Knicks fan, as Kevin Knox pulled up with the Fortnite swag one year, which was hard at the time, but
Yeah, and then
aged
guess what?
terribly. And he also aged terribly. I have a Kevin Knox Hawks jersey back there.
The moment that Zion Williamson took the ball away from Kevin, like literally just took it for himself.
We gotta play
That
that
moment,
clip.
Kevin Knox's career died. Zion just took his soul from him.
All right, but the question is, if you were an NBA player or a future NBA player going into the draft,
Right.
what would you have on the inside of your suit, like a Fortnite type theme? What would your theme be? Sainey, we'll start with you since he doesn't like to start.
I have a sick idea. Okay, so I would have. I'm Canadian, so I'm a Drake fan, right? I would have a suit, and I would open it on the stage, and it would say,
Champagne Poppy.
If you're reading this, like some cool, like if you're reading this, I'm now in the league, but in that like album font.
It's hard.
And I would have it like that, and I would just like pull it up, and I'd be like this, and then Drake would definitely repost it, and I would get Instagram clout. So you got to think.
That would
I'd
be
be
marketable.
I would be
If Drake
marketable if I did
wasn't
that.
as like memeable as he is, but I still like it.
He would,
I still
bro. That's how you be marketable and be cool at the same time. See.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go so Zeke can go last. I'm a big Cars fan. I watched Cars like at least 300 times. So I'm thinking I'm not like this in real life, but let's just say if I had my dream career, I'd be an absolute menace. Go up there, Chick Hicks, Kachiga. That's a Pat Bev suit right there. That's
Oh,
like,
God.
I'm in the league now. And you know what you should have? You should have the king like completely damaged on the other side, like busted up.
Yeah,
I love the
that's
king,
hilarious.
but that would be crazy.
Okay. Well, I guess it's my turn now. If I was getting drafted and I had to open up my suits, the first thing that you would see, and the only thing that you would see, is a picture of John Cena. Why? Because John Cena is the greatest man I've ever seen. I mean, geez Louise,
You've
John
seen
Cena.
him?
Let me tell you something.
You've seen him?
John Cena. Huh?
You've seen him?
Yeah, I've seen him.
I thought you can't
Why?
see John
Yeah,
Cena.
you never saw him.
That's what y'all think. Me and John have a special connection.
You have
I
an
know.
invisible suit.
I saw him, and he didn't. I saw John. He didn't see me, but I saw him. So I knew from that moment on, the fact that him and ZZ Huncho were in the same parking lot just means that me connected. But I would have his.
You're not a real John Cena fan if you actually seen him.
I'm personally
He's more of a spirit.
I'm personally a Rey Mysterio guy.
Word.
I was never a wrestling fan
Randy
growing
Orton
up.
guy.
Oh, you missed out.
I know.
You missed out,
You missed
bro.
out.
You missed out.
Prime
terribly.
WWE was it.
All right.
Literally.
Well, this was a great episode.
I really like.
I know
this is...
we had some controversy. I'm gonna stick by it. I think Steph Curry
is a number 7.
I think he's the 7th player in the league, but I think besides the top 2, I think there's a slight gap between the top 2 going into next year. 3 through 7 is very interchangeable. I just think Steph Curry's lack of defense and the fact that he's been inconsistent in the regular season, he averages. He's going into another year. He's like 34, and I know the lack of defense doesn't really mean anything because he's on the Warriors. But looking at the best players, I want to value defense, which is why I have Giannis number 1.
We have a little bit of time.
I guess we do.
We have a little bit of time, and I had a surprise topic to throw at you guys because I want to see your guys' like in the moment reaction to the question. It's a basketball question, and I want to see your guys' in the moment. I didn't want to give you guys any prep time because I want to spice it up a little. I don't have a segment name for this. It's just a way to end off the podcast. Create a little bit of controversy, a little bit of discussion. Who is your guys' fall off player of the year? Basically, what I mean is they were great this season. They are going to be like they fell off. Like they're going to fall off the face of the earth next season. Like they are not going to be nowhere near the player they were this season.
Wow,
your fall off player.
Damn.
I already have mine, and I can start it off.
Please start it off.
I do not think Al Horford is going to be anywhere near the player he was this season in the playoff. Like the way he was playing in the playoffs, he will fall off. He will fall off. He will not be at that level next season. As big of a contributor he was, and I love Al from the bottom of my heart. Father Time is catching up. He will not be like that next season.
I think I have mine, and the only reason I'm gonna say this is because I think it might be the safe answer. Plus, he genuinely pissed me off when I watched him play because this player is also on the Celtics. His name is Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard.
That dude was automatic this year.
He was crazy, bro. I think he's going to go up.
Listen, Peyton Pritchard, unless God gives him a couple more inches, pause. Next season, unless God does that, and I'm talking like, you know what I'm saying? My man is a defensive liability. He is a great shooter. He is a quick dribbler. He is a great, person that's just going to run around, and if his shot isn't there, he's going to just pass it and go chill in the corner. But defensively, every single series, granted the Celtics were winning like against Miami. Jimmy Butler, they literally were putting him in pick and rolls to get Pritchard on him so he could just bully him. And then if Steph Curry's there, he can't guard Steph. He can't guard Clay. Can't guard Wiggins if they start backing him down. Jordan Poole, no. Jimmy Butler, no. It's just, but I know he's a great shooter. I've seen his YouTube videos. He's a fast dribbler. He does like that cool like YouTube stuff. But like Ime Udoka, I just think that Ime Udoka and the fact that the preference of what the Celtics is defense. He's gonna be at the bottom of the rotation. Maybe with Big Al. Who knows? But Peyton Pritchard. Yes, Peyton Pritchard.
My pick is Nikola Vucevic. And not that he was that great this season, but the fact that he was an all-star at one point and he's transitioning into the point where people are calling him out saying, he can't play defense, which I think he can't play any defense. I think if the Bulls get their mindset straight, they'll get a big who can play defense. Vucevic will go to some garbage team. They really should have kept Wendell Carter.
Put up empty
but I
stats.
think Vooch is he's done for.
Yeah,
he's not a winning player.
That is a great. I forgot he existed, bro. He used to be.
Bro,
he was a 26-13 player a couple of years ago.
He was kind of nice, yeah.
26 and 13.
In Orlando.
Yeah, but no, they were going to the playoffs. He was taking them to the playoffs.
They were nice that one playoff series.
Yeah,
the DJ Augustine jersey.
I remember that one time. Yeah, they were the 8 seed. They were the 8 seed.
Nikola Vucevic. Wow.
All right. Well, I think it's a great way to close this out. Yeah. So episode 1 was very successful.
Very fun.
Very fun. We got to come up with some new game segments because name that Plumber's fun, but I'd love to.
Every week it's gonna be a different host for the game.
Yeah.
That way Hoop gets to participate, and then it's gonna be like. So I went Z. I'm 1-0 on you right now, bro. I'm up.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
I'm
all
up
good.
right now. You gotta come back.
All good.
So,
like John Morant in the Grizzlies Twitter page says, I'm gonna spin the block on you, bro. On phone.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And the last thing I forgot to mention earlier, if you can figure out what jersey I'm wearing based on what you could see in this picture, I will have a newfound respect for you. I'll give you a virtual cookie. Maybe we'll like write your name down and put you in some sort of raffle for something in episode 100. I don't know.
No,
But
we
if you
just
could
gotta
guess
shout 'em out.
my
It's
player, go
We
for
just
it.
gotta shout out their TikTok or whatever.
All right. Well,
All right, well, this was fun, guys.
we're out.
All
Hoop,
right.
Sainey, Z. Let's hold up. In episode 1, let's figure out what our outros are going to be. Because last time in episode 0, we all went for the salute, and that wasn't a good thing. So
We need to have like
I can give Z the salute. I don't mind because he's a John Cena fanboy. I understand that.
On God.
What should I do though?
I don't know.
Like, should I just like back out of the frame? That's like so mid.
I can't do that. I have to reach over and click stop recording.
You get Sainey could be just like.
I was gonna be like.
All right.
Jamal Murray.
Oh, that was kind of cool. I can't lie.
It's kind of cold. All right.
Yeah. All right, that hilarious way to end the show. We'll see you guys in episode 2. Everybody say bye.